sort of as just an extra piece to that, even if I'm not literally sitting there analyzing, I'm at least directing attention towards this issue. And directing attention, like analytical thinking, is controllable. It's all a bit of behavior, if you will. It's something I'm doing towards solving this problem that is actively keeping it in my mind all the time. So the analogy I like to use is that it's like you're holding on to a basketball as hard as you possibly can, and also trying to drop it as hard as you possibly can. It is true that you are trying to drop the ball, but it is also true that you are holding on to it as tightly as you can, and that you can't do both of those things at the same time. So people with pure O are saying that they're trying to stop thinking about this, but they are also desperately trying to answer this question. And those two things are obviously mutually exclusive. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, I'm smiling. That's a great analogy. How do you work with like cutting out that compulsion?
So so there's a difference between the two questions. I sort of have two questions from the why box that I use in this regard. One question is, how consistently do you make the decision to stop ruminating? Do you make the clear decision? Not, I'm conflicted, I'm waffling. How often do you make the clear decision to stop? That's one question. And then a separate question is, how often are you successful? If we have somebody who is not making the clear decision to stop, then what we need to focus on is justification. Why are you doing this? Are you deciding to let this go, etc., right? But if we have somebody who's saying, no, I really am definitely committed to stopping, but I just can't do it, then what we need to look at is issues and methodology. You're doing something wrong. If this is hard, not ruminating is easy. It's not doing anything. It's not, there's no replace, it's not mindfulness. It's not thinking about something else. It's not pushing it away. It is literally doing nothing. It's getting off the treadmill. So if somebody can't do that, there's something wrong in their approach if it's hard. And so sorting through those issues are then a separate issue, a separate problem from justification. However, there's just a handful of issues that people have. It's not like infinite, it's like 5. It's the same things over and over again that are getting people stuck. For example, it is, I'm holding it at bay. I'm trying to like keep the waters at bay. No, stop. You don't need to do that. Rumination is not something that happens to you. It's something you do. Just don't do it. It won't assert itself. You don't have to lean up against the locked door. That's one. People will often try to distract themselves, which nobody asked them to do, right? You don't need to distract yourself. Just stop analyzing, right? Another one is mindfulness. No, nobody's asking you to do mindfulness, because we need you to not ruminate all the time, and you cannot do mindfulness all the time. It's also unnecessary. So there are just a handful of things that people are doing or arguing with the thought. There are just a handful of problems that people have in terms of methodology, and you just have to figure out what they're doing, zap them, and then they're good. Does that make sense? But that can be done. That part's easy. That can be done in a matter of minutes.
Okay.
The justification side is that, so you have to sort of keep tabs of both of these things and assess what the problem is. Does this person know how to ruminate, how to not ruminate, and they're just not doing it? Or is there some issue with their approach and they need to clean that up? Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. As you were speaking, I've got the voice of some of my listeners in my head, and I can imagine them thinking, this all sounds brilliant, but how do I just stop ruminating?
So I think it's those two things. It depends on what we're asking. Is it, how do I stop? How do I make the decision to stop? Or how do I stop? Like, what does it mean to stop?
Yeah, that one.
What does it mean to stop?
The latter, yeah.
Do you know how to stop ruminating? Because if not, I would love to teach you.
Yeah, please do it. I think I figured it out, but I couldn't put it into words.
So basically, I would say to someone, here's this question that's haunting you, this issue. Am I a pedophile? Am I, God forbid, straight? Am I gonna murder my grandma? Whatever it is, right? Here's this issue that's bothering you that I'm usually paying attention to and trying to solve. What I want you to do is, we're aware of that issue. Yes, we know that's a question. What I want you to do is, don't try to solve that now. I'm not asking you to keep it in mind. I'm not asking you to push it away. It's there, it exists. It exists like Corona exists. We know it's Corona, right? But I don't want you to like think about what we're gonna do about it, okay? And then I ask the person to do that. Okay, and then they either say, yeah, okay. I say, was that easy? And either they say, yeah, that was easy. Good, that's what it means to not ruminate. If they say, well, I don't know, it was a little hard, then my question is, what were you doing? I was asking you to do nothing. So what were you doing? And then we solve whatever that is. So for example, were you keeping an eye on it? Were you directing your attention toward it? Okay, so we're not gonna do that. Were you trying to think of what you should think about instead, okay, we're not going to do that. You just peel back those few pieces, and then it's like, okay, to not ruminate is to do nothing. I get it. It's easy. Now the question is, am I willing to do that all the time? And that's where we move into the question of justification and letting it go. But does that make sense? So how to not ruminate is to stop trying to solve this problem in one line.
Okay. Yeah. I got that. I'm a very visual person, so I saw you using your hands, and it wasn't like I'm asking you to put this over here, or it was just kind of, we see it, we acknowledge it, now don't.
But acknowledging in a very passive sense. I think the word acknowledging or accepting makes people think that they have to do something to accept, like an active acceptance. That is not what acceptance is. Acceptance is, it's COVID. Like it just is. You don't need to accept that it's COVID. It just is COVID. That question exists.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't need to hold it
kind of
there.
just noticing it, and that's it.
But not in an active. It is in your, I'm aware. I'm aware.
In your periphery.
Yes, but again, not in the sense that you're doing anything. In the sense that you're not doing anything. You're not holding it in your mind. You're not pushing it away. It just is. That question exists. The question exists, and your job is to not do anything about it.
Okay.
Does that clarify?
It does. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Important distinction. Yeah, because I can imagine that's the first time someone hears that, trying to get the head around the idea of, well, am I putting it on kind of a shelf, or am I, you know, but just
put it another way. They're looking to, what am I supposed to do? And the answer is, you're not supposed to do anything. You're supposed to do nothing. The answer to a compulsion is not to do the compulsion. It's not to do an exposure or to, you know, repeat an affirmation. The answer is to not do it. So the same is true for rumination.
Yeah, that's probably, a good way of putting it. Whatever a physical compulsion is, the idea of ERP or the RP is to stop doing the compulsion.
RP. The RP is everything.
Yeah.
There's no exposure for rumination. There's RP for rumination.
Yeah. Nice.
What are you doing, and what is the consequence of what you are doing?
Yeah.
Right? I understand that it's terrifying. I lived this. It's terrifying. But that doesn't change the fact that because you are terrified, you are making a choice to do something. If you try to stop doing a math problem, you don't do it more. If you try to stop planning your vacation, you don't do it more. And telling somebody to just let the thoughts be there, which is why I hate ACT and am enraged by ACT.
Okay.
Telling somebody to just let the thoughts be there is the most harmful thing you could possibly say to someone who is ruminating. You are making them sick by telling them to just let the thoughts be there, because they can sit there just letting the rumination go. Okay, I'm noticing this piece of evidence, but I'm noticing that memory, but I'm noticing that time I liked that dress, but I'm noticing whatever it is. That's rumination, and you're just letting the thoughts be there. That's akin to mindfully washing your hands. If you're going to try to stop a thought from occurring to you, you're in trouble. Everything that follows that, which is everything after the initial micro millisecond, everything after that is not subject to thought suppression.